This is the first rotation for Astromancer Alena in Hall of Trials. We currently have 34.5 million damage. I think this rotation is honestly really boring. I'm not a big fan of it. I just think that the fight is too simple. There's nothing you can do during the fight itself to really manipulate the fight in any sort of interesting way to me. I would say changes are probably unit choices. Maybe there's certain hidden unit choices that I haven't noticed because I did not do a lot of testing for this rotation, honestly. The optimizations you can do is during the break phase, just making sure you're doing the break phase properly, like basic break phase mechanics. And then artifact choices was what I spent most of my time testing. So those are the two optimizations we'll mainly be going over. Here's the team we're using. We've got Twisted Eidolon, Kayron, Yuna, Achates, and Setsuka. You can get at least one Moonlight hero in the team, though Setsuka cannot be replaced. She is just by far the best unit, and there's just nothing that replaces her. Sorry. So I hope you roll her. She's also insanely good, so definitely worth rolling anyways. And then Achates, I would say there is no reason to replace. She's just such a good unit. If you haven't built her by now, please build her. We keep on using her in Hull because she is a very good unit. She's here to heal, of course, and cleanse, and also because she can spam non-attack skills, which lets us not deal damage with her in the break phase. Also, her non-attack skill spamming lets us enhance our target weakness. And then there is Yuna. Yuna here is here to fulfill the AoE role to break the skill nullifiers on the ads, and she also has a non-attack on her S2, which isn't too important, just because Achates Setsuka themselves can fulfill the 4 non-attacks that we need, but she does give attack buff, which is nice. Setsuka having most of her damage coming from the HP portion doesn't get that big of a boost from attack buff, but it is something. And then if you don't have Yuna, use a bunch of units. There is Wukong, Holiday Yufine. It's like any unit with a full AoE S1 works here, I think. Though Yuna does come with a HP imprint 2 slot too, so very nice, and she's a pretty much free SSS. If you want to use your Moonlight slot here, it's Bellion and Abyssal Yufine are your 2 targets for this slot. For the front slot, we need a unit with counter-attack buff. We're using Twisted Eidolon Kayron. He perma-refreshes his counter buff, and he does pretty good damage, honestly, in the break phase. Besides him, if you need a Moonlight hero, Kikarat V2. And one nice thing about Kikarat V2 is him, Yuna's imprints, and one of the artifacts we'll be using all come from the same side story. It's just in the Book of Memories. Yeah. Here, Raingar's Chaotic Moon Festival gives you Kikarat, imprints for Yuna, and also Midnight Bloom, which we will be using. I think that kicked us out, so let us go back to Hall of Trials. And then if you have, let's say like you're using Yufine here, you don't have Kayron, you don't feel like getting Kikarat, then you could use, like, I think it's Senya, Charles are the main ones. It's just the unit with counterattack buff, ideally with an AoE to help you kill the skill nullifiers. One thing about this fight is that it's slightly different this time, because they made it so that the ads have 4 skill nullifiers now, instead of 4 stacks of skill nullifier instead of 6. Also, fulfilling the team requirement doesn't reduce the amount of CR that Alena gets anymore. So she's a lot, like, she takes her turns a lot faster now. And also, when she has Cajole, the exhaustion gauge does not decrease. This might be a bit of an overreaction to what happened with Renok, but this is annoying because this effectively means that we have to deal 1 more hit before the Cajole phase starts. Before, we could be at 65%, and then our counterattack hit would just be our, or whatever hit we used to get counterattack buff would be our hit to bring it down to 60. Now we have to be at 60 before Cajole goes up. Anyways, let's go ahead and take a look at everybody's stats. Let's start off with Kayron. We'll go front to back. So for Kayron, you can kind of just build him damage. I could probably drop his damage even more, honestly. I opted a bit on the side of safety, but my damage is pretty capped out, honestly. Maybe I try replacing this necklace sometime. He doesn't really need that much bulk, just because he does give himself a barrier on his S1, which helps a lot with his sustain. And Alena, all of her damage full pens, so you're just looking for HP for your bulk, your defense doesn't matter. It's kind of just build him full damage. His crit chance, you do want 100%, but I mentioned that we're using Midnight Bloom, which means that we can be as low as 84. And then if you're using a different crit chance boosting artifact, which I'll mention later, then adjust your crit chance accordingly. For his artifact, since Setsuka is an HP scaler, we actually don't really care that much about giving her HP sources. I did a bit of testing, a run with Warhorn and a run without Warhorn. In phase 1, I lost like 11,000 damage, which is not a lot, so we are using Cruel Mischief on him instead. This just is the highest damage boost for an attack scaler. And the damage boost that he gets from running this over our beautiful seasons is higher than the damage loss from Warhorn, so we're going to work with this. And then next up is Yuna. For Yuna, she doesn't need to be super fast, honestly. Her and Kayron kill these skill nullifiers easily enough. I made her about like 220s. You can make her a bit slower and it's fine. She has her nice HP imprint here. Her EE does not matter, I just have it on for speed. And I gave her Warhorn just because we don't need any more crit chance. We have enough crit chance on our Setsuka. If I did need more crit chance, then we would look at the other crit chance boosting artifacts besides... what is it called? Midnight Bloom. But the other ones, this is Irma limited, but if you have Midnight Pizza Delivery, this works fine. 10% crit chance for all allies. And then there's also, I think it's Levelin's Beach, the official Levelin Beach Volleyball. Great artifact. 5% crit chance for all allies. And then for her gear, it's just, you might as well give her DPS with a little bit of HP. Make sure she's not too squishy. I would aim for about like 12k HP. I had a run where I had like 11k something and I died, so. You also notice that she doesn't need any skill enhancements. I mean, I guess you could mold her S1 for damage, but I'm not doing that. Next up is Achates. Achates, I made her like just, I think this is auto geared actually. I just aimed for like 250 speed or something and called it a day. This works fine. And there's not really too much special about her. I don't even know what EE I have equipped. So I guess I have the F-Res one. This doesn't really matter, it's just for the HP. Her artifact, I have her holding our support artifact, Midnight Bloom. And in hindsight, I should probably swap this with Yuna because this has slightly higher flat attack. So that's probably something that we should do, swap the artifacts so that Yuna has the higher attack one. But her gear isn't anything too special. And then lastly, Setsuka. There's a lot of things to explain here. So for Setsuka, first off, you need her S3 Molas, which is ridiculous because her S3 Molas are completely useless. Like, her S3 Molas just... If your Setsuka has to S3 twice in a PvP match, something has gone horribly wrong. So that is why I think this unit is a mandatory Grace of Growth. Please free up your Grace of Growth at some point in the next 2 weeks, so that you can, and also in the next rotation, so you can Grace of Growth for Setsuka. Because we do not need the Mola S3. This is a massive, well, I think it's like not that much. It's 7, it's a waste of 7 Molas. I do think there's a way to actually clear a run without having her S3 Mola, which I will probably take a look at. And yeah, I'll take a look at that later. I think there's a way to do it without S3 Molas. It's just a little bit stupid. But for her build, we are going just... I auto-geared this. This is just full HP, full crit damage, no crit chance. You can literally just go here, recommended equipment, lower, lower, max, max, lower, max, max. And then, yeah, it's literally just this. You can just auto-gear it. You only need 2 stats, HP and crit damage. And then we don't really care about defense, so any extra stacks might as well be attack. For crit chance, you have limits to how low you can go. We're using Frantic Flight as our artifact, which I'll talk about in a little bit, but Frantic Flight gives us 10 crit chance, and then Midnight Bloom gives us 16. At 26, we can be as low as 74. So let's say you swap out Warhorn for Midnight Pizza Delivery. That would let you go as low as 64. So it really depends which artifacts you have. Like if you're not using Midnight Bloom, then And then here, if you don't have Frantic Flight, because this was pretty much perma-limited, then I would go for something like, well, I would just go for POS. If you have POS, this is the second highest damage artifact. It's just because it stacks a little bit too slowly, so it doesn't outdamage Frantic Flight, even though it has higher base HP. And then if you don't have Frantic Flight and you don't have POS, if you hate yourself, you could try giving her Dust Devil, or you could just give her Warhorn or something. Like, you can just give her Warhorn, because Warhorn has the very high base HP, a little bit of attack, good enough. So then, I guess there's like nothing to say about her build. It's just destruction HP. The HP set isn't mandatory, it's just full damage. And then, yeah, make sure she's in Grace of Growth because you do not want to be bowling her S3. That is it for everybody's stats, and now we can take a look at the run. So here's my starting CRs for reference. Looking at before Alena did her attack, it looked like it went Yuna, Achates, and then Setsuka and Kayron pretty much right on top of each other. We can start off with Achates S3, and then you can pretty much auto from here, though there is one more thing I want to mention first, so I'm not going to auto just yet. Normal CR pushes a random ad there, and you're going to want to check and see. It depends on your Kayron speed. If this ad goes first, you can use S1 and it'll be fine. You'll clear the skill nullifiers and kill them in time. If the ads, or if Kayron goes before this ad, then you should use S3. But we can just use S1, so we'll auto until the visual phase. The reason for that is it's really minor damage optimization. It's just because Alena decreases your S3 skill cooldown by 2 turns. And there, if Kayron goes before the ad will strip the counter buff. So it's 1 extra AoE that you get from Kayron there. But Alena reduces your skill cooldown by 2 turns, so if you wait until after she uses her S2 here to use Kayron S3, it's not going to be up during the break phase. And then here we're just going to hold S1. We're holding his S3 because ideally we want to maintain all of this fighting spirit until the break phase starts, just to maximize our damage from the whatever his S3 scaling is with the fixed damage. Anyways, from here we can just S3. And then we're not going to S2 just yet, just because we want to keep this target weakness at the level, I guess technically level 0. So we're going to S1 instead. This is because we have 8 hits to work with, and we're going to use all of them. So let's S1 first, and then we'll S3 on our next turn. Now we can S2, and you'll see the reason we didn't want to increase it is because once it hits level 1, hitting the boss increases the weakness gauge by 52%. So we do not want to do that. And then here, you can honestly just S1 here. Everybody's full HP anyways. And you can stall out with Setsuka S3. We need one more non-attack skill though, so we're just going to S2 ourselves. Back at level 3, the maximum. We'll Kayron S3 here. And then you see it increases by the gauge by 52%, so that's why we save our very last hit for it, and your extra attack will go off first. And then pretty much the same as phase 1, we're just going to S3 full cleanse and then auto. We don't really have too much of a choice here, unfortunately. We have to use Kayron S3 here. So then now we can, again, S3. And then let's not waste our thing. We're gonna S1 here. And you'll notice that Yuna is missing a little bit of HP. I am going to Achates S3 here, just because I want to fill up that last bit of HP here. And then we'll S3 to stall the buff. I actually forgot to mention, so this like description, it says dispelled after activating or at the end of turn. It doesn't, like, I mean, our turn ended, so you have to actually attack to get rid of it, which is a little bit unclear / misleading. Then here, let's S3. And we can just let it go. Unfortunately, Kayron goes for the ad there. I had him a little bit slower, maybe. Oh no, Yuna, or not Yuna. I want to cut ahead of the ad, so we're actually fine. We can use our S3 in the break phase here instead. Actually, I guess we don't have to do anything yet. So here, I mean, it doesn't really matter at this point. We're in the final phase, so we don't have to worry about managing anything. It's just, we're gonna S1 first. And then we can S3 here. Okay, I probably shouldn't have Achates S3 there, probably should have just used S1. Fill up the extra hits, but not a huge deal, not like Achates is doing much damage. But now we are going to S1. I guess that actually works out, we only had one hit to work with anyways. This is the final hit.
당신이 지닌 수많은 죄